Welcome to Shaped by Faith with your host, Theresa Rowe. To find out more about Shaped by Faith and Theresa Rowe, please visit shapedbyfaith.com or visit the YouTube channel, Facebook, or Instagram. And now, here is Theresa Rowe.
Welcome to Shaped by Faith, where we shape our bodies and hearts for God's purposes. I have a special guest on Shaped by Faith today, Brianna Salerno. She's an ex-Reiki master who found Jesus, and I love that. She now works as an actress and as a clean beauty blogger and holistic lifestyle influencer. She's a CEO and founder of Blessed Holistic Life. Welcome, Brianna, to Shaped by Faith.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I love how God connects people. And now online, I mean, there's so much stuff on social media that's not good, but then there's things like this that are good, where we can talk about Jesus, share our faith with one another, and then help people with what God has given you to help them with. And so I love that you are a clean beauty blogger. That's so interesting. Where are you located?
I'm in El Dorado Hills, California.
Okay, so what's the weather like in November there?
It just got chilly. Literally yesterday, I wore a sweater for the first time. So I'm like, yes.
Okay, well, I'm in Kentucky and you never know what the
Yeah.
weather is going to be like. You never know. It can be warm, it can be cold, and you don't know. But I love
hmm
living here. It's beautiful in California. I've only been there a few times. I have a really good friend that just moved back from California, and she moved back to Kentucky to take care of her parents. So
Aw.
anyway, just wanted to give people an idea of where you're at, where I'm at. Why don't you give us some background information about what you were doing before becoming an influencer and what your life was like?
Whew. All right. Well,
Loaded question.
yeah. So before the acting, before the influencing and finding Jesus, I was living in Las Vegas. I
Okay.
was playing professional poker, very low limit money, but I just played and I can works when I wanted to, and I had a blast. I love it. I still love poker to this day, but with living in Vegas and not having faith or anything, you just get caught up in that city. And so everything was in excess. So staying up till 4 in the morning or gambling for the whole night or 24 hours or just drinking like 2 bottles of wine. Like I was very in that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't healthy. I ate whatever I want, drank whatever I want, did whatever I want. And there was not a lot of substance, but I was very blessed. God kept his hand on me, protected me a lot. So I'm very thankful. But during all of that, I was also very deep into spirituality. So I was a Reiki master. So I was doing energy work, which opened so many doors, which leads me to my testimony and just kind of like how I grew up in a sense. I grew up with my grandmother being very religious, but not having the heart of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And so saying something, but speaking out of both sides of the mouth. And so her actions not lining up and actually growing up, going to church, but not knowing who Jesus was. And my mom, we just had a lot of religious trauma. So my mom became a shaman, like at the same time I became like a Reiki master, and we were both just trying to find healing from our trauma, and the enemy uses trauma to get
Yeah.
you to bring you to hell. So
Mm-hmm.
we yeah, I could just feel energy. I did horoscopes, I did crystals. I then because once you jump on the new age hamster wheel, you can't get off. There's always something else. So then it became looking for animal signs, then um having psychic abilities, then talking to demons, having paralysis. Like, I mean, I had so many demonic attacks and still continued to do it. Like, I could see and feel spirits and still continued to do it. And I thought it was all a gift from God. And yeah, so I played poker, dabbled into that, and it all kind of happened around COVID when everyone kind of,
Yeah.
we're all stuck at home. I was like, oh, God needs me to help heal people. And I started doing like FaceTime energy work things and opened so many doors for clients and myself. And yeah, and thank the Lord, he sent me long story short, he sent me a client who actually got out of it while we were working together and planted a seed in me. And then 6 months later, I gave my life to Christ.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's
yeah,
beautiful. That is beautiful. What a tremendous story. You need to write a book about it. I mean, that's just
yeah.
tremendous. Okay, so I have to go back to the poker. Like, where did you learn how to play poker so well?
So I'm like, I fully got diagnosed at ADHD this year. And so it makes sense of how many times I've lived in different states and how many jobs I've had. I was a professional makeup artist in Florida. And then I started working for a door-to-door sales company, but it
Okay.
was all with men. So they moved me to Pennsylvania. So I worked with these guys, and after work, they'd had like a poker game. So like the seventh game, they were like, yeah, let's play. And I was like, oh, okay. Seventh game, I won. One of the guys like flipped the table, like, and it was kind of like a stress reliever for me. So kind of went back to Florida, then Vegas, and just kind of found myself playing. And I was like, oh, I'm making money. I guess I'll do this. And so I just never stopped.
That's, I just had to find out. That is
Yeah.
so interesting. Okay. So you've given your life to Jesus, you've surrendered all. I know when we've been involved in things in our past that probably opened a door, to the enemy where you can feel, like you said, the spirits and the demons, and I can relate to all that when I was a little girl. But there's that time when you come to the Lord and say, God, please forgive me for
Yeah.
doing that. And so if anyone's listening or they're watching on podcast, and they're there, uh, how would you suggest to them or encourage them there's a better way, just like you explained?
I think for me is I was I was saying with my mouth that I was positive and happy and trying to help people and heal. And the enemy took advantage of that. That he always takes advantage of our heart.
Yeah.
And I was just really looking for something to heal my trauma. And instead of laying it down at the cross, I was pretending to be God, so to speak. And so for me, I look back on that time in my life and my actions weren't matching what I was telling other people. I couldn't sleep till 4 in the morning. I was having demonic attacks. I was having like really, like I would wake up with pain and just like all of this stuff. I was depressed. I had anxiety. Like, so it wasn't matching in my spirit, even though I'm saying, oh, love and light. Like there wasn't.
Right.
And for me, I always had believed in God. I just never knew Jesus. And so when my friend had planted a seed, I was just, okay, like, let me look into this. And then Doreen Virtue, a huge ex New Age person, gave her life to Christ. And she's like, I denounce all angel cards, everything that I've written. And I was like, oh, okay, hold on. There might be something here. And I'm I've always prayed and I've always been like very connected with God. And he really has had his hand on me in my life when he shouldn't have. And so for me, I always say I'm a little bit dumb. And so I'm like, hey, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I go, I need you to send me a person. So this is like a little mini story, but I'm like, I'm going on a flight tomorrow and I'm still working in my business. I go, I'm having these guilty feelings. Something's going on. Like my spirit, I don't know, I'm wrestling with this spiritual stuff. I go, I'm going on a flight tomorrow. You've always answered my prayers. Please send me someone tomorrow on my flight to sit right next to me and tell me if what I'm doing is helping you. Because I had fully convinced myself I was doing the work of God.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I'm sitting on this plane going to Vegas before takeoff, and I can feel, and I'm like, this person's here. And I look up, and this guy is like, can I sit there? And it's an open flight. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to tell him. Like, oh my gosh. And I hear like he's going to pull out like a biblical book. And I look and he pulls out like reading the Bible through Western eyes. And so, me being me, I turn to him and I go, hi, I'm Brianna. I prayed last night and I think God sent me. Like, you are here because of God. And he's like, oh, hi. And he tells me he's a Christian. And I'm like, yeah, I do Reiki, I do this. And we talk from takeoff all the way to landing. And not once did he rebuke me. Did
Mm,
he look at me like I was crazy? Did he like just, he didn't do any of that I was so used to from other people.
yes.
And he simply said to me, if you think that you're helping Jesus, continue. And if you don't, don't. And
Mm.
I don't know what happened, but it completely changed my life. And I got off that plane. And the next day I went, oh, I'm going to start crying. I went into church and I gave my life to God, and I could feel the demons and the spirits like leave.
Mm.
And he texted me and he was like, I just want you to know that I've been praying for you. And
Wow.
he lived in the next town over that we were actually moving to. And so 6 months later, he was there at my baptism. So
Oh, that is beautiful. Oh my gosh, God loves you so much, Brianna. He sent that person, but by faith, you knew that person was going to be there on that plane. That is
mhm.
beautiful. Thank you so
So
much for sharing that.
yeah,
Wow.
sorry, it was so emotional.
You don't need to be sorry at all. It is beautiful. I mean, wow, Brianna, what God has done for you, that should encourage other people. It should also build your faith just to know, God, look what you've done. How amazing are you? And let's talk about the beauty industry now, because that's obviously what God has gifted you with. You're a beautiful person, you're beautiful inside and out. And now you're helping other people to enhance the beauty that God has placed in them as well. So, how did you get involved with the clean beauty industry?
So long story short, I started doing makeup at like 10 years old. And then by 14, I started doing makeup for all my friends in the dances. And then I did my first 12-person wedding at 16.
Oh my
So
goodness,
I was
that's a
doing
talent.
makeup. Yeah, it was definitely from God. And so I had always, it's funny you said that because I would always tell people like my passion is making people feel beautiful on the inside out, like just enhancing their natural beauty. And so at 18, I moved back to Boca and became a professional makeup artist. But so it kind of goes along the lines with clean beauty because it was like as I was growing up, I was applying so many toxins
Mm,
every day to myself. And I had hormone problems, weight gain, period problems, like just so many things. And
right.
so I didn't know. So for years and years, I did makeup all over. But then when COVID happened, I just kind of everyone it's funny, everyone's like, "Oh, COVID-15, like we're gonna like eat bad." And I was the opposite. I love to do the opposite of what everyone does. So I was like, I'm gonna get healthy.
Mm,
And I went gluten-free, noticed a huge difference, stopped drinking, noticed a huge difference, and just like started reading ingredient labels on my food. And I was like, oh, no wonder why I'm bloated and feel sick. And then it's so funny. I did a parasite cleanse, and that completely changed my life. I had 15 out of the 30 symptoms, and
wow.
just, I could not believe it. Like problems I had when I was younger, just completely gone. And so with that, I was just doing all of this research. And then I found stuff about beauty. And I was like, wait, there's toxins in these products? I'm applying 160 plus toxins a day as a woman. And I've had thyroid issues. I've had this. And so started looking the ingredient label, and online there wasn't anyone that was doing clean beauty, but had the fake blonde hair, had the overline on the lips, and had like a self tan. Like I'm a full glam, non toxic girl. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just like, I was like, maybe I'll just like buy makeup and start sharing. And that's what I did. Makeup and clean beauty 5 years ago is there's such a difference today. Like the color, we have color now. We did not have color back then. And so
Okay.
yeah, I kind of did the opposite. And it says like, oh, when you run out of a product, replace it with a non-toxic one. And you can, but
Mm,
I just went crazy. I bought all this stuff and then I just started sharing like, hey, this is really good. This is pigmented. This is full coverage and my skin looks better than ever. And that's kind of where Blessed Holistic Life came in. And it's funny because it went along with like cleaning up my temple, clean eating, parasite cleansing,
mm.
giving my life to Jesus. It all happened within like 3 months. So
That's beautiful.
that's
And
why
that's
it's blessed
God.
holistic life. Yeah.
God brings it all together. He gave
Yeah.
you a yearning to search out, those ingredients and in the beauty industry as well. Okay, so your platform is on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Blessed
Mhm.
Holistic Life. And so, and I've looked at your Instagram social media. It's beautiful, by the way.
Thank
Um,
you. Mhm.
but you give tips and you share different products because that's so important because we're like, okay, that's great, so what do I do, so where do I even start if I run out of a pressed powder or foundation or lip balm? So on your social media platform, Brianna, is that what you do? Is that you give us the different products, you collaborate with them?
Yes. So I work with a lot of brands, and I'm just a believer that there's not one brand that fits it
Mm-hmm.
all. Like, not everyone is going to love every single product or color. It's just, it'll never happen. And so for Blessed Holistic Life, I share my lifestyle, my journey. I test out a ton of makeup, but I only share the good stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
get sent a lot of products, a lot of offers. Oh, we'll pay you to say this. And I'm like, yeah, no, you have toxins and it doesn't work. Sorry. So on my page, I only share what's clean and what is actually high performing. And then I created my own little website. So I
Mm-hmm.
have everything that I've personally tested on there that meets my standards. So I'm not just going to add like a random powder that
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like would even last. So everything on there is like, hey, if your skin type's here or like you needed like 2 to 3 recommendations, these are the ones I would recommend.
Mm. Okay, what about, okay, so you were talking about how the toxic things the products that we put on our face and on our skin can affect like everything. But with
Yeah.
women, especially hormones, where you said you could gain weight, you could just feel yucky. And then I don't think people really think about, oh, this could be my skincare. Oh, this could be my makeup. Oh, what about shampoo? So it is a little bit overwhelming, but I think it's doable. Like you said, if you run out of a product and then you replace it,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
knowing me, I would have thrown it all out and then just,
Same. And then you're like, okay,
what do
20,
I
I
do?
just bought 20 things that still don't work. Cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what about skincare as far as cleansing our face? Do you use certain soaps? Do you use certain moisturizers? What do you do about that?
I think it all depends on the person, but for me personally, like I have oily skin,
Hmm.
so I try to do and acne prone and sensitive. So I try to find like acne loving ingredients, like make sure it's clean. But yeah, when it comes to toxins, when you think about what you're applying to your skin, this is our largest organ. It's going into our body. And so as a kid, you're dousing yourself in Bath and Body Works. There's people that spray their perfume right on their thyroid and then get thyroid cancer as they're older because they're just applying fragrance, and fragrance is up to 3,000 chemicals.
Mm.
So take your fragrance that they put in makeup and then apply it to the 20 other products you put in. Like, you are just dousing yourself in chemicals. And when I was doing that, I was sick all the time. I would apply it and cough. I would get headaches. I had weight gain. I had thyroid. I couldn't get my period. Like, it was killing me. And I look and I research, and it's all because it's endocrine disruptors.
That's interesting. And we are living in a chemical laden world. I mean,
Yes.
everything around us, even house products, the things we clean our home with, just everything. Even we live on a farm, but I'm like, okay, that farmer is spraying some Roundup out there.
Yeah.
That's not good. I
Mhm.
mean,
Oh my gosh.
I just
Yes.
want to say stop. But if we can start small, kind of like in
Mhm.
fitness, I tell people, don't get overwhelmed. Don't think you have to do this and that and this, and
Yeah.
just do something, just move a little bit. So with what you're saying is, let's just start somewhere. So let's talk about foundation, concealer. What are some things you would suggest as far as the products that are available to us that are clean?
Yeah, I would say kind of what we mentioned is, if you are new to clean beauty and non-toxic living, start small. Like, if you're getting rid of a product and it's empty, replace it with a non-toxic one. But I also think to start where you use your product the most. So if you're someone who, like, I wear foundation all the time, swap that. And so with foundation, I recommend just kind of your skin type. I have oily skin, so I use a certain concealer that I use as an all over foundation that I love from Tower 28. I think Lauren Brooke is an amazing company. I work with her, I do videos for her. I actually did makeup for her in Utah. She is Utah based, all made in the USA, a woman owned small business, all organic, all natural ingredients. She has a beautiful anti-aging foundation. She has a cream one and then a beautiful tinted sunscreen that mimics the It Cosmetics Toxic CC cream. So yeah, I would definitely start there. And then if you're looking for something a little heavier, try RMS Beauty. They have a beautiful Revolve foundation that is medium to honestly full coverage.
Okay. Well, there you go. We can start right there. Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about the hair.
Hair.
Because
Yes.
we're putting these products on our hair and we're getting our hair highlighted or colored or whatever. And the shampoo and the conditioners, what can we do about that? Do you have some
Yeah.
suggestions?
Yeah, so there are two hair companies that I recommend. They are just high quality, top notch. Honestly, everything I found in all my non-toxic works better than conventional. Like I look back and I'm like, wow, my skin looks amazing. My hair is the best it's ever been. So this stuff is working. But I would start with Inner Sense Organic Beauty. Their clarity line is great. I have oily hair, I have colored hair. They have a beautiful spirit leave-in conditioner. And then with Rawa Beauty is another one. They're from like their founders went to the Amazonian and like grabbed ingredients there, and they have a beautiful voluminous shampoo and conditioner, a amazing heat protectant. I put their dry shampoo in. Like I use all of their products every single day, and my hair is shiny, healthy, and it's still growing long.
It looks great. Okay, let's talk about our clothing. Even
Yes.
my daughter has said, Mom, you need to change out the material that you're wearing. And I hadn't really thought about that before. I know the Bible talks about wearing linen.
Hmm.
I know that. But I'm like, I can't wear all linen clothing. I mean, I could, but it's going to
Yeah.
be real wrinkly. So, what do you suggest? Do you also have that up there where people could find that information?
Yeah, I think it's really important to, with any lifestyle, 80/20. If you make and change to non-toxic or you buy linen, it's okay once in a while to wear some polyester or something that's not as great. But when it comes to clothing, when you look at fast fashion and see what it's doing to the world
Mhm.
and to our bodies, looking at how our skin is our largest organ, and then you're putting polyester and nylon. And then when you look at the research of these babies in embryo with microplastics in their body and blood already, you're like, wait a second, I'm putting my body like microplastics on my body. And for me, I had never really looked at sustainable fashion until like this year and last year because I it's gross to say, but when I get hot, I'm like a nervous sweater and all my clothes, I'm like, wow, I like stink. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I smell. And someone was like, look at the fabric. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was like polyester, nylon, this, that. And I recently bought a polyester sweater, wore it, stunk it up. And so that fabric is not meant for our skin. It
Mm.
like changes the pH and it holds on to certain smells and you can't breathe. So I transitioned literally, I'm like, okay, I'm throwing everything away. So I transitioned to like silk and cashmere and cotton. And I'm like, okay, don't stink. This is so comfy, it's chic. And I found brands that are actually affordable and still look good. And me being me, I have a discount code for everything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Brianna, how has your faith influenced how you live?
it is the biggest factor today. I love Jesus. I've connected with so many people online, and that's why my page, I still share my faith. I made sure it was blessed holistic life to, hey, Jesus, blessed, holistic, like clean living. My life is my lifestyle. And I'm very open about my testimony on my page. I will rebuke the new age and I will tell people. And I've had random followers message me and they're like, I had no idea that was evil. And I'm like, that's Jesus. They were like, I was just praying about it this morning. So I will never be quiet. If a brand doesn't want to work with me, then I don't need to work with that brand.
That is so, so good. I'm sort of like, well, I am like that in the fitness industry. I used to be a yoga instructor, thought it was all fine and good.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then God spoke to my heart and said, did you ask me? Did you
Yeah.
ask
And you're like,
me about that
oh,
certification? I'm like, oh, no.
my bad.
Yeah. So, and so, I mean, if you think about it, everything's yoga pants, yoga this, yoga, I'm like, that should speak volumes what the world
Yeah.
is speaking out loud. I'm like, Lord God, please forgive me. So now it's Pilates and stretching and
Yeah.
all of that. So we really have to listen to the Holy Spirit. And I
Mhm.
want to thank you so much for what you bring. And you're a lovely, lovely young lady. And I just really bless you with God's favor and peace. And we're going to do this again. We're going to do this in 2025 and talk about parasites.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Brianna, for being a lovely guest.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening. I'm Theresa Rowe, and everyone have a blessed day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Shaped by Faith with Theresa Rowe. Remember to visit shapebyfaith.com to find out more about workouts, the TV show, podcasts, blogs, Shaped by Faith products, and much more.